biggest game of the weekend, arguably, that took place in Minneapolis, and what it says about the division and what Sunday says about that division in general. I am so impressed with the Detroit Lions. And it goes beyond just that they won the game, that they went into Minnesota and established themselves as the clear favorite in the NFC North going forward. It's the circumstances. It's what happened at the beginning of the game. And I'm going to take this back to a conversation I had with Dan Campbell right after they traded for Jared Goff in 2021. That, of course, was part of the Matthew Stafford trade. And if you remember, Jared Goff was seen as a salary dump in that move. And most people felt like the Lions wound up getting a better haul of draft picks because they were willing to take on the contract of Jared Goff. Now, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell would tell you, they'd swear up and down that Jared Goff was never a salary dump. They would have told you that back then. It sounded like lip service. Now I think we're seeing some of the things match up with not just Goff, but the team and where the Lions were and what they were trying to establish back then. There was obviously the connection at the time between Brad Holmes, the team's general manager, who had come from Los Angeles, and Goff. They were together with the Rams, but Campbell didn't really have a real link to Goff. And really the reasoning for Campbell liking Goff went beyond just his talent. And went back to the 2018 NFC title game, the Rams and the Saints in the Superdome. Anybody who's been in the Superdome for a big game knows what it's like in that environment. Loud, nasty, almost like a violent environment. A very, very tough place to play. Dan Campbell at the time was the assistant head coach with the Saints under Sean Payton. Jared Goff was the quarterback of the Rams. And Campbell noticed, even though he was coaching not against the Rams offense, but against the Rams defense, because he's the tight ends coach, how coolly and calmly Goff handled that environment, went into that environment, and ripped the Saints' hearts out. And that was a really good Saints team, a really good Saints defense with guys like Marshawn Lattimore and Marcus Williams and Cam Jordan and Demario Davis in the prime of their career. And Goff was able to go into what was a really, really difficult spot, really difficult environment in his second year as an NFL player and take the Rams out of that environment into a Super Bowl. And so where does that relate to what's going on right now? Well, I think it was the same sort of thing we saw on Sunday, where the Lions fell behind 10-0. Just about everything that could go wrong did go wrong. There was a fake punt that didn't work. Aaron Jones broke off a long run on the Lions defense. That place got very, very loud. It probably felt to a lot of Lions people like the roof was about to cave in on US Bank Stadium. And having that steady hand at quarterback, having a guy like Jared Goff at quarterback, who again is now a more experienced version of that kid who went into New Orleans and ripped the Saints' hearts out, means everything for a team. And he's a tone setter for the Lions. He, I think, is a very real MVP candidate, and he was able to guide them back in that game. And the Lions showed that they can win a lot of different ways in this game. We saw the run from Jahmyr Gibbs. We've seen what David Montgomery can do. The defense actually held up pretty well after falling behind 10-0. Brian Branch looks like a first-team All-Pro in the defensive backfield. Yes, they still have to find a way to replace the production that Aiden Hutchinson gave them, but all the way around, they looked like one of the best teams in the league after they're falling behind against the Vikings. I don't think that this game's any indictment on the Vikings. They're still a very, very difficult defense to go against. And, we've seen what Sam Darnold looks like in their offense. They've hit some bumps more recently offensively, but I still think a lot of that Vikings team, is very much positioned to stay in the race and to keep up with the Lions and to play important games in terms of, trying to win the division title in December and January. And the Packers are right there too with how they played in holding CJ Stroud to less than 90 yards. Jeff Hafley doing a fantastic job with that defense, getting more out of veteran players like Rashawn Gary and Jair Alexander that have been there for a while. Jordan Love, on not his best day, makes a handful of just huge throws. Early on, the touchdown throw to Tucker Kraft, the touchdown throw to Dontavian Wicks, hitting Wicks on a crucial 3rd and 2 on the last drive of the game, getting Romeo Doubs over the middle. Again, like not his best day, but he made critical throws when he needed to. So that Packers team looks very complete. And then you've got the Bears, who have also shown the ability to win different ways. Early on, it was despite Caleb Williams. That Titans game in the beginning of the year, they win that game largely on a block punt and a pick six. More recently, they're winning because of Williams. This looks top to bottom like the best division in football, and clearly the Lions are still the top dog after what transpired on Sunday.